Welcome back to the Charter Podcast presented by St. Xavier University. I am 𝗏𝗏𝗃, and with me is my guy, Clay Harbor. Ruthie is having a wonderful vacation overseas, so you're stuck with just the twos of us. It's just the boys running the show today. Clay, how are you doing?
Just the two of us. You know that Will Smith song. I'm good, man. It's a hot weekend in Chicago. Got outside a little bit, got by the lake, did a little biking, got some sun, worked on my tan a little bit. I know you like to stay out of the sun, or you got that white paint sunscreen on, Alex. Yep. But no, it was a good weekend, man. Ready to get back and talk about some Bears. And surprisingly, we got some good stuff to talk about, even though it is June 23rd.
We do. And you are absolutely right. I went golfing this weekend. It was our third annual Father's Day Invitational that my buddy, shout out Josh Weintraub at ADP. If you need payroll services, go visit Josh Weintraub at ADP. He puts together a Father's Day golf tournament for us every year. It was extremely hot. And you are right. I had my full safari hat on. I reapplied my sunscreen three times. But look at me. I'm not burned. It's not like me at Mobile at the Senior Bowl when it was 60 degrees and cloudy, and I still somehow got sunburned.
Yeah, you were burned. And if you remember, I remember your buddy. I've met him before.
Oh, yeah, you have?
Guy. Yeah, and we texted you back in the day before we were, co-hosting the Charter Podcast. My ex-girlfriend, hope she's doing well, worked at ADP, and I got to meet Josh.
Oh, my God. I completely forgot about that. But you're right. I remember one day getting a random FaceTime from Josh Weintraub. And who's there? None other than Clay Harbor, who at that point had been a multiple-time guest on the Under Center podcast, but we were not co-hosts yet.
Yeah.
That was great. Wow. So you got to play in the Father's Day Invitational next year, Clay. No excuses.
Well, I think I need don't I have to have a kid?
No, you don't.
Oh, no?
No, absolutely. You could be just a guy who wants to play golf.
I don't see any kids coming my way soon. I should probably get a girlfriend first. Then, get married, all that good stuff. But at some point, I will be a father to celebrate Father's Day. But until then, I would love to be a part of the Father's Day golf event with 𝗏𝗏𝗃.
So next year, the weekend after Father's Day is when we all golf. Clay, you're officially invited. I'm making it happen. But let's talk some Bears football, what we actually came here to do. So we have two segments kind of lined up for you listeners or viewers on YouTube today. One, new questions that we have about the Bears after minicamp. We all had a bunch of questions like who's going to be the left tackle going into minicamp. But these are the new questions that arrived after minicamp. And then after that, we are going to play a little this or that. So, Clay, let's get things kicked off. New questions after minicamp. What is one of your most burning questions now that we are at the summer break portion of the year?
Now we're at summer break. A big question of mine is, are the Bears going to make a move before training camp, and specifically at running back or edge rusher, right? So for me, edge rusher, you have to get the most out of 𝗏𝗏𝗃 𝗟𝗏 because this guy you just paid big money to. He's never been a huge sack guy. Last year, I think he had 5.5 sacks, something like that. I'm sure Alex has the stats there. But solid player, young guy, really good against the run, high motor, character guy. But can he rush the quarterback, Alex? I know he's very versatile, can move up and down the line. But it still remains to be seen if he is a guy that can get double-digit sacks in the NFL. I'm not sure if he can get there. That's what you want to see. So what could you do? Maybe you go out there and you sign Za'Darius Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, someone like that has shown they can be a guy that can supplement your pass rush. I'd love to see Za'Darius Smith in a Chicago Bears uniform. It doesn't look like the Lions are biting at this point for whatever reason. Liam McNeil will be back. Aiden Hutchinson coming back. They got some veterans there that they believe in. So I think Za'Darius Smith is a guy that had 8 sacks last year, over 5 with the Lions in his last 8 games, 4, excuse me. So he's a guy that I think could really do some good things. He had more pressures than our leading pressure getter, Montez Sweat. He had a better pass rush win rate than our best pass rush winner, I guess you would call that, Montez Sweat. He's a guy that can still get the job done. He's 32. So I'd love to see that. And then Alex, running back. Ben Johnson loves to run the football. To take pressure off your second-year quarterback, what can you do? You have to run the football. I think we all think that DeAndre Swift is due for a little breakout season here with this new offensive line. Obviously, offensive coordinator he's played with before. He had a solid year, averaging 5.5 yards per carry. But if you go back to that year, Alex, DeAndre Swift wasn't even the main running back that year. It was Jamal Williams, who happens to still be in free agency. I'm not saying bring in Jamal Williams. I know that's one of your guys. But is there somebody out there that can help you? We love Kyle Monangai. We got to interview him last week. This guy is made of the right stuff. He's a guy that you know is going to work hard. He's intelligent, but he's a 7th-round draft pick that hasn't played an NFL snap yet. So you don't know where you're going to get. Roschon Johnson had some injury issues, had some concussions, is a guy that runs kind of straight up. You want him to be able to be a guy that can take some carries off the table there from DeAndre Swift, especially in short yardage situations. And we know Ben Johnson loves to run the ball in those third and mediums and shorts and then go for it on 4th down. Need a good short yardage runner. So you got those two guys. But I think you might want to throw somebody else into the fray. Give me another running back to compete to see who's going to come out on top, because you're going to have a lot of carries to go around. And if you don't trust your running backs, it's irrelevant who's blocking for you. I remember Marty Morningwood, my old offensive coordinator, said this. He goes, I spent a lot of time going over different running games, running schemes, were different plays. Are we going to do the gap? Are we going to do the ISOs? Are we going to do the pin and pulls? Are we going to do the zone, the wide zone, the inside zone, the zone, the end zone, whatever? He goes, the biggest thing that changes your running game is a really good running back. He goes, you have a really good running back. Guess what? You're going to get that extra yard. You're going to fall forward. You're going to have really good vision to find the hole that is there if the hole that's supposed to be there isn't there. So I say all that to say this, that the Bears might need to find another running back along with an edge rusher, and there's still some solid options out there.
Yeah, I'll just go through some of those guys. Obviously, those are the two big position groups that we've talked about a lot. You mentioned my guy, Jamal Williams, who you could just recreate. You could just recreate that Lions backfield that Ben Johnson was so effective. Jamal Williams scored, so many touchdowns for that team. Also, Gus Edwards, similar age, similar style, like he's out there. Or the Nyheim Hines of the world, the Chase Edmonds of the world, the JaMycal Hasty's of the world. So just because Nick Chubb and J.K. Dobbins have signed with their respective teams, there are still players out there available in free agency where if the Bears come back and they've looked at the tape and they get a look at Roschon Johnson in the pads, they get a look at Kyle Monangai in the pads, they get a look at what these guys are doing in pass pro. If they want to add, there are still some guys out there. And I think pass pro might actually kind of be the key here. Khalil Herbert, opened the door for Roschon Johnson a few years ago to get some carries because Khalil Herbert was never known for his pass pro. That was something that was clearly not his strength. Roschon Johnson was better in pass protection. Now, Roschon Johnson didn't happen for him last season. You can go to injuries, you can go to scheme. There were a variety of reasons why things didn't work out with Roschon Johnson. It's almost like, I don't want to say square one. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it's almost like a fresh opportunity. Similar to what the Bears did with Eddie Jackson when Matt Eberflus came to town, right? Eddie Jackson, it was like, is this guy a cut candidate? Matt Eberflus gave everybody a clean slate. Eddie Jackson made the most of that opportunity and started playing really, really good football again before he suffered that Lisfranc injury, right? I view it as a similar situation for Roschon, where it's like, hey, you're working with Eric Bieniemy now. You are working with Ben Johnson now. You are healthy now. Can you be that guy? Kyle Monangai, when we put the pads on, you are known for being very passionate in pass pro, right? But doing it in the NFL, he's a smaller guy. He simply is, It's just a fact of what Kamananga is. He's a smaller guy. You have a great attitude. You have a great attack plan when it comes to pass pro. But can you actually do it at this level as a smaller guy? Once we get a better idea, I think that's when maybe that running back thing happens. And I'll add one more. I'll add one more position group. And then this is going to lead to my next question. One of the big questions I have is linebacker. TJ Edwards missed some time at minicamp, which really shined a light on the depth at linebacker because 𝗻𝗏 was also not there. Jack Sanborn ain't here anymore. So we saw Noah Sewell playing Sam, and we saw Ruben Hyppolite, the 4th-round rookie out of Maryland, playing both Mike and Will and playing with both the 1s and the 2s. So linebacker, if 𝗻𝗏, we don't know what's going on with his injury. He could be back at the beginning of training camp, and it's totally fine, and he looks good. We don't know what's happening. But if the Bears need to lean on a guy like Ruben Hyppolite, who is quote-unquote swimming because there's so much for him to learn, could the Bears stand to add another linebacker to that group? And then my question is, this is a big offseason question, how quickly can Ruben Hyppolite learn this defense? We have heard that this defense is very complex, that it's not just vanilla fronts, and we've seen that, right? Like in minicamp, a part of the year when you would imagine it's pretty vanilla, Dennis Allen was throwing so much crazy stuff out there, including weird linebacker rush games, So Ruben Hyppolite, we saw the speed immediately. Like right away, we're like, oh yeah, there's the speed that everybody talks about. The instincts look good. He looks like he can be a playmaker. How quickly can he learn that offense though, Clay? What do you think?
I think it's going to be a tough defense for him to learn, but he is a guy that is kind of known for his intelligence and his hard working and a guy that is all ball. So I would vote that he's going to be a guy that can learn. He was the stalwart of that defense at Maryland. And as far as being ready to play in the NFL, what I've noticed in my career is sometimes faster players are ready faster because the speed of the game doesn't affect them as much. If you're a fast player, you can kind of make up for it early on in your career if it takes you a second to identify a little bit some of these schemes that are different. And just to vent here for a second, this doesn't have anything to do with the question, sure. But like the Jack Sanborn thing is still mystifying to me. I mean, why let this guy? He's making $1.5 million. He's a guy that's proven that he can play any of the linebacker positions. He's played all 3. He's a valuable special teamer. And I like Ruben Hyppolite after seeing him in camp. I think we both were pleasantly surprised with how he's playing, obviously, albeit in shorts and a t-shirt. When you're playing linebacker, it's kind of hard to see how good a linebacker is in short and t-shirts. But the guy seemed to know what he was doing. He was playing with the 1s. He had some PBUs. He was good in coverage. Seemed like he was in the right spot. But when you have a guy like Jack Sanborn, who is underrated, under the radar, can make plays, everybody thinks highly of him, to not bring him back when he is a free agent, restricted free agent, excuse me, and then you use your 4th-round pick on a linebacker. Why not keep a guy that's probably better than any linebacker in the 4th round and use your 4th-round pick on an edge rusher? I mean, some of these things to me seem simple things. A guy like Sanborn, who is just a great teammate, hard worker. People say nothing but glowing things about him. Watching him on film, I'm like, dude, this guy is the real deal. When I'm watching him on tape, he is so fast at diagnosing plays, a smart player that is proven. You're going to just give him away for $1.5 million instead of keeping him and using your pick to pick somebody that's an edge rusher or maybe a running back in the 4th round that you could use as well. So for me, some of those things don't make sense, Alex. And sorry I had to vent that. I had to get that off my chest because it's been in here for a while. And sometimes you just got to let these things out,
Let it out. And I think I have a little bit of an answer for you. Yeah. This came from early in the year.
And they wanted to get faster probably, right?
That's exactly it. We had these breakout sessions with all the assistant coaches, like a little, first meet and greet with the media where you got to introduce ourselves and ask them some questions. And I had some time. I went over to Dennis Allen, and it was a small group with him, and Jack Sanborn came up of like, yo, why isn't this guy here? What is your vision for this defense, and why does Jack Sanborn not fit in? And you're absolutely right. Came down to team speed. He basically said, like, there were a few things we wanted to do with this defense, and we've accomplished a lot of those goals. And one that was outstanding, as in like yet to be accomplished, outstanding, is speed. We want to increase the team speed of our defense, and that's something that we want to do with that linebacker room.
Man, that's overrated, especially for a linebacker, man. If you're a football player, you're a football player. I've seen Dante Hightower. I mean, the best linebackers I've played with and against aren't guys that are killing the combine. I mean, I should have been in the Hall of Fame then. I ran a 4.5 40. I jumped 40 inches on the vertical. I had a 10.5 broad jump, 30 reps on the bench press. Dude, this guy.
Maybe you should have played linebacker for Dennis Allen then.
Maybe I should play linebacker for Chip Kelly, even though he tried to move me there. I decided I didn't want to do that. But, man, I think that – I get where you're coming from and where he's coming from with the team speed deal. But to me, it's like if you're a football player, you're a football player. And the speed matters to an extent, but what else matters is throw on the tape. Watch this guy for the last year. Don't just look at his 40 time. Look at TJ Edwards, who's your starting linebacker, who nobody's going to argue with him. Obviously, he didn't have a great year in coverage, but he can tackle the ball carrier. TJ Edwards is like a 4.9, 5 flat 40. Sanborn's like a 4.8, 4.9. TJ is slow. You're telling me you're good with TJ out there who's running a 5.40? But Jack Sanborn's got to go. But at Sam, who's going to get hopefully 9-10 snaps a game because you're in base package, especially when you have Kyler Gordon, who's a mismatch nightmare because you're not going to be able to outpower him. So,
and who you probably feel about,
it didn't make sense.
You feel okay about him being a backup Mike potentially, right? If TJ Edwards, right? If Tremaine Edmonds goes down, and you need TJ Edwards to stay at will or move back to will based on wherever he lands, you probably feel pretty good about Jack Sanborn being your backup Mike.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So another big question, and I don't know that anybody has the answer to this, but I think we have some ideas about the Bears offense heading in. Now the big question for me heading out of camp is, what is this Bears offense actually going to look like? Ben Johnson at the end of minicamp basically said, we've put everything on tape. We got all the tape we need. Now it's up to myself. It's up to the coaches to spend the next month and a half poring over all of this tape. What worked well? What did not work well? What did Caleb Williams pick up very quickly? What did Caleb Williams not pick up very quickly? Parsing through all of that and then building the Bears offense. So I think, and again, I don't know that we necessarily need to answer this, but what will the Bears offense look like? I think is a really interesting question when you talk about under center, when you talk about play action, when you talk about the run game, the run scheme, et cetera, et cetera. So Clay, just your initial thoughts on the Bears offense as they actually start to legitimately build this thing now.
I think it's going to look a lot different than the Detroit Lions offense because Caleb Williams and Jared Goff have a lot different of talents and abilities and things that they do well. Goff is more of a timing passer. He's very intelligent to get the ball out. He gets the ball out fast. He's a veteran. He can call these wordy plays, really good motions, shifts, things like that, right? Caleb is more of a guy that's a playmaker. He's a playmaker. His cup of tea just isn't your typical drop back stuff to where I think that Ben's been used to that what he's had in his career up to this point. So the thing that gives me confidence in the situation is Ben is a guy that knows that. He knows he's not going to be able to call the same offense he did last year, this year. Like Shane Waldron, okay, this worked for Geno in Seattle. Okay, this is going to work for Caleb this year. It's like, no, they're different players. Like we've seen plays of Caleb, sprinting to his right, throwing back to his left, sprinting to his left, throwing. The guy can do some crazy things and make some of those wild throws, and he does show the glimpses of that arm talent and consistency there, but I think it's going to look a lot different than Detroit. I think you'll see some play action. I don't think you're going to see the second most play action in the league like you did in Detroit last year. Actually, he had the most play action in the league with Jared Goff. I think you'll probably see a middle of the pack because it's something you still want to put in. It's something you still want to do because it is so effective of moving the linebackers and safeties. But I don't think that's going to be Caleb's strong suit. I think that as far as the quick game stuff, you're going to see some of it. The motions and shifts, he's fourth in the league last year. I think this year you'll probably see like middle of the pack. I mean, Caleb can do it, but I think it's a little more difficult sometimes for a younger quarterback to get that moving. So I think you're going to see some similarities, some differences as far as strictly plays, because Caleb does a lot of things different than Goff. You're going to see a lot more movement, bootlegs, instead of the pure play action, drop backs, 5-step, 7-step drops, Alex. So I think that's something that'll be interesting.
Totally. All right, and then this was my last new question coming out of minicamp. It's actually kind of an inverse of last season as it comes to the offensive line. Last season, the Bears on the offensive line, when it comes to depth, actually seemed pretty solid, right? Okay, Nate Davis didn't work out, but the Bears had Tevin Jenkins, who was solid when healthy. They had Bill Murray. They had Ryan Bates. They had a bunch of options, and Matt Pryor ended up being a very solid option off the bench. And then at tackle, that's when there was the huge question mark. It was like Jake Curran and Larry Borum, and there just didn't seem to be a good answer there. Now, on the edges, feel good about Darnell Wright at right tackle, and then there are three intriguing options at left tackle, and we imagine one of those guys will be the swing tackle. Braxton Jones, Karan Amagaji, and 𝗁cie 𝗵𝗏. Some interesting options. But on the inside, who did we not see at all during minicamps? Ryan Bates. So the Bears have done a hell of a job infusing new talent at that starting rotation. And that is obviously the most important thing. Getting the starting center, getting the starting left guard, and getting the starting right guard set. Like that's big, 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 big. So this is a little nitpicky. But now the depth is, okay, without Ryan Bates, who we thought was going to be a big part of this, it's Bill Murray, who the Bears feel really good about. But then who else is it behind that? So has the depth kind of switched from we feel better about the depth on the edges and maybe less good about the depth in the middle? Luke Newman, a rookie who the Bears are trying to figure out if he could play center. Doug Kramer, who, the Bears are still trying to figure out, who stuck around but has struggled in his opportunities. So I'm just curious about your thoughts about the new questions. Do you have new questions about the depth on the interior of the line compared to the edges of the offensive line?
I think Jonah Jackson's a guy that's been getting hurt often. I mean, this guy, I'll pull up the numbers before we get off this show just to, just to tell our listeners and give them an idea of how much this guy's playing. But he's been a guy that's just been banged up. So that gives me pause right there because, who's this guy's backup, at this point in the game, who's backing him up? Like you said, we're trying to figure that out. We're going to have to wait to see when the pads come on, who jumps out from one of these young guys. If it's Doug Kramer, if is Bates an option, is Luke Newman an option? Who's going to be a guy that they can really count on to be, one of these interior backups? Because I'm not sold that Bates is healthy or is going to stay healthy if he is healthy. So you don't have a veteran back there that's reliable. And that's what you always want, I feel like, is you want a good, reliable veteran as a backup in the interior. Like you said, left tackle, right tackle, I think they're in a good spot because Darnell Wright, for all intents and purposes, I think we see is going to stay at right tackle. There was a little bit of people saying maybe he could move to left. He's not moving to left, okay? They're going to – 𝗁cie can set on the left side, and he's going to be in a battle with Darnell Wright, and Karan will get his shot to be the left tackle as well, even though I don't foresee, after what I saw in OTAs and minicamp, that this battle will be one with Karan in it. I think Karan will be in competition to be your swing tackle. I don't even know if you want him to be that. Obviously, we're going to see if he improves. Hasn't had a lot of experience. He's a guy that didn't play against good competition, was injured. So he's going to have a full offseason, a full training camp with pads on. So we'll see how much he can improve. Haven't seen it yet. Is it possible? It's very possible. I've seen it happen. I've been on a team where I thought, wow, this guy sucks, Alex. This guy isn't good at all. Next thing you know, this guy's starting. So it happens. Players get better. And he's a guy that I think is one of those candidates to get better. You know who else can get better? I think 𝗦𝗂 can improve a lot. He's a guy that we were very impressed with how fast he learns his offense. When Matt Applebaum, his offensive line coach, who spent a lot of time in the NFL, including coaching me, which I took a little offense to when he said 𝗦𝗂 was the guy that learns a playbook faster than anyone he's ever coached. I said, Coach, you remember we had some time together, right? All right, I was good. I wasn't that good. But Big Ozzy's going to know what he's doing. And he's a guy that can move for being 6'8". He can bend. He's technically sound. So when Braxton comes back, we're going to have to see how Braxton is. Braxton's played in this league. Braxton has film in this league. Braxton has had some success in this league. I think his ceiling isn't as high as Ozzy's because Ozzy's just bigger. I feel like he's a little stronger, a little more stout. That there's always going to be that bull rush for Braxton Jones, but he's a guy he's probably an upper half tackle. He's in the upper half of the league. So he's going to be okay. I think he gets a lot of hate from Bears fans because they're looking for, what's the problem with our court? Braxton Jones, right? But I think he does a pretty decent job. So I think the tackle position, whoever wins that job, the other guy's probably your swing tackle. And I don't think it's a big drop off. And I don't think it's a big drop off at left tackle. Hopefully Darnell Wright doesn't go down. But if Darnell Wright goes down, guess who's actually a right tackle? 𝗦𝗂. Play a lot of right tackle. So your tackle position, I think, is in a lot better place this year than it has been in the past. Like you said, when you have Larry Borom in there, we're thinking back to the Detroit game when he just barely gets out of his stance and Caleb gets sacked, and you're wondering what the heck is going on. This guy didn't even get out of his stance and do a kick slide. You got Karan in there in Minnesota. He's starting. Can you blame him? Because Braxton reports his concussion the day before the game in Minnesota, the loudest stadium, in my opinion. I think it's just as loud as Seattle. Played in both stadiums. This place, you can't hear yourself think, going against Danielle Hunter for your first start, coming from the Ivy League when you're playing against a guy that's probably a math professor now. Like, come on now. I mean, that's tough sledding, and he didn't look good, but we'll see how he does this year. Sorry, I was a little bit of a tangent, Alex, but to just recap all of that, interior depth is a question, especially with Jonah Jackson, who's often injured. You got the guy in Joe Thuney, who has missed 2 games in his entire career, played 148, 2. Drew Dahlman also coming off a year where he was injured. So, yes, you want depth with those 2 guys that have been on the injury report recently.
Yeah. All right. So, new questions abound. Old questions, some of them remain unanswered. We got some new questions, folks. But now we are going to switch to this or that, a different form of question, where we're going to try and suss some more things out about the 2025 Chicago Bears. So, Clay, my first this or that question
Alex,
for you.
1 second before we get to that. Yeah, I told you I would get to the numbers with Jonah Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Just before we move on, I found them in the last 3 seasons. So 3 years ago, Jonah Jackson was on the field for 67% of his team snaps. Okay. Last 2 years ago, he was on the field for 69% of the snaps. And people might say, he was just hurt last year. No, this is 2 years. This is 3 years. Last year, he was on the field for 24% of his team's snaps. He's played 13 games, 12 games, and last year he played 4 games. So this is a guy that has shown that he can't stay healthy for the last 3 years. This is 3 years of data. So that's why I think you brought up a valid point to the depth of the Bears, because you have 3 years of data. To me, what does that mean? That's a trend. Trends like that about getting injured, when you keep getting injured more and missing more and more time, aren't typically good for an aging guy. But now I just wanted to make sure I said I would put that out there, and now I have. And now I would like to get to this or that, Alex. So give us that rundown.
No, I love it. That's great. To me, that says get ready for Bill Murray.
Yeah.
We should be watching Bill Murray
at some
because
point.
That guy is probably going to be out there, as you mentioned the trend. So I do not have a this or that with Bill Murray lined up, but maybe we'll revisit this segment a few months from now, and we will this or that Bill Murray or Jonah Jackson plays more right guards for the Bears this year. No, we do not have that dialed up today. We are starting with I'm sure our fans love right guard talk, but I think a lot more want to hear about the wide receivers. So, Clay, will DJ Moore have 1,000 yards for the Chicago Bears this year? Or will Rome Odunze have 1,000 yards for the Chicago Bears this year?
Go DJ, because that my DJ. Yeah, I'm going with DJ Moore, man. To me, you look at Ben Johnson's offenses, and that's the last couple of years. Obviously, you see Amon-Ra St. Brown has been the big receiving target. And neither of these guys, Rome or DJ, are huge in the slot, but I think you're going to see, you saw DJ take a step up in his slot snaps last year. And the guys that have the huge year are the slot defenders. Jared Goff was second in the NFL last year in passing yards. He had 2 players with 1,000 yards, but Jameson Williams only had 1,002 yards. And this is a second leading passer, almost 4,700 yards. And Jameson Williams only had 1,000 yards by
just
2.
Over. Yeah,
just
exactly.
over. And the year before, Jared Goff was second in the league in passing yards again and had 4,600 yards. And he had one receiver with 1,000 yards, and the second guy was Sam Laporta with 800. So I say that to say that this ball is going to get spread around. There's going to be a lot of guys with a decent amount of yardage. Typically, you're going to have your one Amon-Ra if you're going off of Ben Johnson history. The third down guy, the guy that's here in the red zone, need a big play. And I think that's going to be DJ Moore. He's a guy that's proven he can do it. He can do it. He can do it. Last year, I think, was the first year, I don't know how long, where he didn't have 1,000 yards. So I think he's a guy that can play inside, can play outside. He's got good routes, and he'll have 1,000 yards. I think you'll see Rome with like 900. I think you'll see 650 from Colston, 600 from Cole, Luther Burden with 550, Olamide Zaccheaus with another 400 yards, and you're going to see Swift with maybe 450. So you're going to see a lot of guys getting involved in this offense. So if I had to pick one, I would go DJ, then I go Rome. From there, I'll go to Colston, Cole, Luther, all in that same area, like around 600 yards, just because I think they're guys that could be 1,000-yard potential, but you're just not going to have the ball's not going to be going around that much. You got one football, right? And, Ben Johnson still does love to run that thing. So I think it'll be spread around a lot. And I see DJ instead of Rome. I think Rome's improved. We saw that at minicamp. I think that Antoine Randall, the wide receivers coach, assistant head coach, has obviously done some good things with these receivers. And these guys practice hard, and we've seen Rome looks explosive. He looks like he's ready for a big year. But I still think DJ Moore is the Bears' number one receiver.
We are aligned, Mr. Harbor. I am also taking DJ Moore. When I just look at DJ Moore's skill set and what like the things we know he is excellent at, it just lines up with Ben Johnson's offense, honestly. Like I see a lot of the things that Amon-Ra St. Brown is good at, and I know he did it out of the slot a bunch, but DJ Moore is also very, very good at those things. He's an excellent route runner. He's great with the ball in his hands. You can dial up screens for him. He is so good in the screen game. And I know Rome got involved a little bit in like the extension of the run game, some screens and some extension of the run. But to me, Rome can be most dangerous with the deep balls. He's big. He's great with the 50-50 contested catch. That to me is his real bread and butter, especially coming out of Washington. And what's the thing we've seen Caleb Williams kind of struggle with earlier in his career? It's been the deep ball accuracy.
Deep ball accuracy.
So,
and in minicamp and OTAs, honestly.
Yeah, so I feel like I need to see that come along before I'm like, okay, yeah, Rome Odunze is going to be the 1,000-yard receiver, because it feels like that deep ball chemistry. It's not even just accuracy. It's also kind of chemistry of like learning this is where my guy is going to be. This is where I need to place it for him. You know, all of that stuff. Once we see that come along, I feel like that is really going to unlock Rome Odunze. And I just think that things are a little bit closer with DJ Moore and the way that DJ Moore affects a football game. So I'm with you. I think DJ Moore is going to be the more likely wide receiver to have 1,000 yards. That relates directly, kind of what you were talking about, spreading the ball around and lots of guys having big chunks. That leads directly to my next this or that question for you, Clay. Will the Bears major in 12 personnel with Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland on the field and 2 wide receivers? Or will they major in 11 personnel with 1 tight end and 3 wide receivers? We obviously expect them to do both, but what's going to be their bread and butter? Is it going to be 12 or is it going to be 11?
The answer, Alex, is simple. It's yes. Yeah, it's yes. I think it depends on the matchups, the team you're going against. And I think here's what you're going to do. You're going to put 12 personnel out there, and you're going to see how they line up against it. And if you got a nickel back, you're going to say, all right, buddy, we're going to pound this rock. We got a tight end going up against a nickel back now. We got an extra man that we feel like we can bully. If they bring out a linebacker, guess what? We're switching the play. Now we're running a pass play because a linebacker is going to have to guard Swift. He's going to have to guard Loveland. He's going to have to guard Kmet. I mean, that's what's going to have to happen if you want to play in base. So that's why you draft a tight end in the top 10, because he can do both. He can block, he can catch, and you can really get some mismatches with them. And Ben Johnson ran 12 personnel a third of the time last year, which was, among the most in the National Football League. I got the numbers for that. I think it was like third or fourth in the most in the NFL. He ran 12 personnel. And that's even with Brock Wright, Brock Wright, and now we got Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland. So I think you'll maybe see a little uptick of that. I think maybe you see like 40% of the time you'll see some 12 personnel, but I think Ben does like to stay in 11 personnel. He's a guy that does a lot of good things there, and they didn't draft Luther Burden in the 3rd round for nothing. You got Olamide Zaccheaus, 2nd round, excuse me. Why did I say 3rd round? I was thinking 2nd.
He was their 2nd pick. He wasn't even their.
Yeah, he was a 38th overall pick, I think, right?
38 or 39.
Yeah.
Anyways,
39.
That's neither here nor there. They drafted Luther Burden real high.
Yes, they drafted him high, and then they signed Olamide Zaccheaus, who wasn't a big time signing, but we were very impressed with him out at camp. He's a guy that can do a lot of things. So I think we're going to see maybe a little uptick in 12, but I think they still major in 11 like every other team. But I think there's also a little caveat to that, Alex, because you will have an 11 personnel with Colston Loveland, and then you will have an 11 personnel with Cole Kmet. So I think you're going to have a couple different 11 personnels, and 11 personnel with Colston will more be like a 10.5 personnel, right? Because Colston Loveland is a guy that can play a little wide receiver. He can split out. He can play in the slot. So you can get a lot of mismatches with him there too. But if you want to run the ball a little more, you have Cole. You don't have the same guy. Like it's like Ben Johnson's basketball team. You don't want a basketball team full of 6'5" small forwards, right? You need a point guard, you need a shooting guard, you need a power forward. Same thing with your tight end room, man. You got Durham Smythe who's going to block. You got Cole who can block and catch, and you got Colston who can block a little bit, but he's going to route you up, and he's a mismatch problem. So
maybe we'll see some 13. The Bears actually ran a lot of 13 last year also with
Mercedes and
Gerald Everett, and Cole Kmet. They had that jumbo package that actually worked really well in the run game. So
yeah,
maybe we should give a little love to 13 also. I'm going to give a little bit of an edge to 11. And I know it's like weird saying that because that is kind of the quote unquote base package, right? You mentioned it. Running 12, 30% of the time was one of the highest rates in the NFL. But I think in terms of like it being a significant portion of the offense, I think a little bit of an edge, especially early in the season, might go to 11 just because of 𝗻𝗂 𝗂𝗃𝗍 and him being a vet and him knowing exactly what he's doing, him being a known commodity. It's kind of going back to our conversation about Braxton Jones, right? There's a lot of tape on 𝗻𝗂 𝗂𝗃𝗍. You know what he brings to the table. He has seen a lot of NFL defenses. He can probably learn this playbook without too much trouble. And I'm not saying that Colston Loveland or Luther Burden will struggle for any reason, but, it is different when you are a seasoned NFL vet and when you are a rookie, and especially when you are a rookie who missed a big portion of the offseason program. Colston Loveland missed all of the time on the grass. Luther Burden was only there for rookie minicamp. And it's still unclear to me, the plan is for Colston Loveland to be out there in the early goings of training camp. But, we heard that about Karan Amagaji last year, right? The plan was for him to be there in the early goings of training camp. And then obviously he ended up missing practically the entire summer. So plans can change, timelines can change. And with these guys, both of them being banged up, and OZ being a super known commodity who looked good early on, I think that might just give a little bit of a needle push towards 11, especially early on, especially when the Bears are, just trying to get their legs under them. Manufacture those easy completions, manufacture those easy moments. I can trust Zaccheaus will be there on the spot that he needs to be there for Caleb Williams to get the whatever completion he needs to get in a groove. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I got those numbers as well. The Lions used 12 personnel, 2 tight ends at the third highest rate last year in 2024, and that was 32.2%. So
right.
That's the third highest, 32.2%. So you don't see it that often.
Right, exactly. Okay, moving right along. Clay, this or that, Roschon Johnson or Kyle Monangai will be your RB2.
This is tough. I think that I think you'll see DeAndre Swift major, and then I think you'll see a split between Roschon. I think you're going to see a package for Roschon. You're going to see a package for Kyle Monangai and early in the season. And then you're going to see who kind of takes it and runs with it. No pun intended there. The job I'm talking about, not the ball. So Roschon, 4th round pick, came in highly touted, showed some flashes as a rookie. And I mean, even as a second-year player, as a short yardage back, when we stopped trying to hand the ball to Doug Kramer and give it to Roschon Johnson, better things happened. And his yards per carry were way down. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was a short yardage guy. You're not going to have a big yard per carry average when you're asked to get 2 yards or 3 yards in these situations, because that's what you're scheming for. You're scheming against run-heavy defenses, and you want a guy that's going to get a couple yards and fall forward and get that first down. So you kind of got to throw that out the window and watch the tape. But Monangai, I think, has potential to be a guy, but we haven't seen him take a snap with pads on yet. He impressed me with how well he caught the ball. We all know he has an acumen. He's good at pass protection. That's something coming out that everybody thought, hey, this guy's not afraid to hit you. He will pick up a blitz. He will step into that A gap with that A gap blitzer and pick up a blitz and hold stout. And he's got that good leverage. You think of a guy like Ray Rice, who's a little bit smaller and can come in there and pick up a blitz. Maurice Jones-Drew, a guy I played with in Jacksonville for several years, could pick up a blitz. I know the dude was 5'6", but he could step in there and pick up a blitz. It's tough. This is a tough one, Alex, because we haven't seen Monangai, and I'm still higher on Roschon than I think most people are. I mean, I really like Monangai, but once again, I've seen guys look really good in OTAs. Man, this guy can play. Then you get him in a game, and next thing you know, he goes down like he got shot. He's going down quick. He's not on his stuff. It's different. I don't think that's going to be the case with Monangai, a guy that's had back-to-back 1,200-yard seasons in the Big Ten, 2-time team captain, hasn't fumbled the ball in 709 career snaps, touches. Impressive guy. So if I had to bet, I know I'm going back and forth here, Alex, but this is a tough one. This is a good this or that you came up with, man. Because I'm going with my head or my heart. My heart's telling me go with Kyle. My head's saying, Roshan's done this before and he's looked pretty good. But I'm going to go with my heart, Alex, as a guy from the Bachelorette would. I'm going to go with 𝗏𝗏 getting the number 2 job. Even though he's a 7th-round rookie, I like what we saw from him in OTAs, and he just had such a good career. Feels like he was a steal in the 7th. 𝗏𝗏, okay, I said it.
I don't think that's a bad call. And I am kind of tempted to say 𝗏𝗏 as well. I think there's going to be 2 factors at play, and you touched on it a little bit. I think the big factor for Roshan is going to be catching the ball out of the backfield. If he can show, I can catch the ball out of the backfield, we know a bit of a more known commodity with the pass pro. Okay, great. Advantage Roshan Johnson. 𝗏𝗏, we've seen a little bit of the pass catching, even though he didn't show it a lot at Rutgers. We saw it in the offseason. We saw him catch a touchdown. We saw him catch a few balls. Looked pretty good. Dropped a few balls, but, overall made some plays. What's the pass pro look like with the pads on, as you said? I think if 𝗏𝗏 can show, I can pick up a blitz and I can protect my quarterback and I know where to be, and I'm going to put forth the effort I need to put forth. That's exactly what it looks like, right? That's the noise you make.
Exactly, man. That's the noise you make. Rah!
If he can roar just like Clay did just then, maybe 𝗏𝗏, because 𝗏𝗏, I think, has the vision we know, has definite, if he's not a home run hitter, he can hit you a bunch of singles and a bunch of doubles, and can be an extension in that passing game. We think we're projecting that out. So I'm kind of with you. I also don't really know. I might be copping out. Maybe I'll lean 𝗏𝗏 as well, because I do believe he can do the pass pro, even though he's a little smaller. Okay, another one for you. And this is one that we haven't talked a lot about, but the Bears have a very intriguing backup quarterback room. The quarterback room looks pretty solid with Tyson Bagent, who we know can win football games in the NFL. And when he's in there, offense operates well. And the Bears also have Case Keenum, who is obviously very well respected, incredible veteran, has seen everything, has also had success in the NFL. So my question to you, Clay, is at some point this year, if a quarterback goes down around the NFL, do you trade either Tyson Bagent or Case Keenum, or do you keep both Tyson Bagent and Case Keenum?
I think you keep them. And here's why. I think you keep Case for the obvious reason, and that's because he's going to be a second coach in that room. He's a guy that's done. He's played in a bunch of games. He's won some games. He's been here, there, and everywhere. I mean, veteran guy. So he's going to be able to help Caleb, obviously, with the film. We know how that was a thing. Watch film. Maybe Tyson Bagent couldn't do that last year because he was still a young guy. He's going to help Caleb with his preparation, with his routine. What do you want to do on a weekly basis? When do you watch this tape? When do you watch that tape? When do I go and get my extra treatment in the athletic training room? When do I want to get my extra running workout in? When's the best time to get in the cold tub? How do you figure out being a pro throughout this long season, 18 weeks with your bye week? So how do you do that? That's why you keep Case Keenum around. And he's a guy that had a decent OTAs and minicamp. And then Tyson, I think, has a higher ceiling. He's super athletic guy for a quarterback. Doesn't have the biggest arm, but I think we've seen him win some games. A young kid from a D2 school that is just a fiery competitor. And I think you want to keep both those guys. So unless you were getting a second rounder for Tyson or something crazy like that, I wouldn't trade him. If the price is right and somebody wants to give you a second rounder for Tyson Bagent, something like that, then I might get rid of him because he was an undrafted free agent and now you're profiting a second round pick.
Yeah. I think there's a world in which you can make a case for either of these guys to be traded. Let's just talk about the Steelers, right? Aaron Rodgers comes in. He's the veteran. They drafted Will Howard, but throughout the summer, Will Howard is not ready to be an NFL quarterback. And the Steelers, Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in a long time. People are starting to talk about, hey, Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in a long time. That might be a team that wants a veteran QB. So if he goes down, maybe they can call it about 𝗬𝗎 𝗠𝗏 rather than Tyson Bagent, in addition to other quarterbacks around the league versus, a team that might not be really going anywhere and they lose their starter and they have a handful of developmental guys and they aren't looking, hey, maybe Tyson Bagent. We know this is a young developmental guy who has won football games in the NFL, can operate at a high level. Maybe they're more interested in Tyson Bagent. So I can see a world in which an NFL team would be interested in each of these guys. I hate to be boring. I'm aligned with you once again, though. I think it is just for that full quarterback room, you probably do want each of those guys for exactly the reasons that you laid out. I'm not going to rehash that because, again, we are aligned. I think the Bears, even though they could probably make some sort of deal for one of those guys, if the opportunity arises, you might want to keep them. You might want to keep them because having a very good backup quarterback and having a very good quarterback as a coach is valuable in the NFL. All right, last one for you, Clay. Will the Bears have over 2.5 Pro Bowlers this year, or will they have under 2.5 Pro Bowlers this year?
I'm going to say the Bears are going to have over 2.5. I think that Joe Toney and Jalen Johnson, you can count those two guys in right now. If they stay healthy, knock on wood. I'm sorry, Edgar. Our producer doesn't like when I accidentally hit the table, so I just had to knock on wood. I'm sorry, Edgar. I said it. I apologize. But I'm going to say over because now you have a chance that somebody's going to pop in this offense with Ben Johnson. Maybe Drew Dahlman has a breakout year at center. Frank Ragnow is gone. Guess what? That opens up a spot. Now you don't have as many great centers. 𝗪cie, Ragnow. I mean, the center position's open. Drew Dahlman, you're paying him like a number one center. He could be a guy. Darnell Wright, I think. Obviously, you got Lane Johnson. You got Penei Sewell. You got some really good right tackles. So I think that would be difficult unless one of those guys are hurt. But he's a Pro Bowl caliber tackle. I think receiver is tough in the NFC. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Justin Jefferson. But I could see DJ Moore making a Pro Bowl there. That's possible to me. And one of these guys in this offense, I think, could pop. And then even defensively, Gervon Dexter, senior, could he have a breakout year at that 3-tech position and pop and make a Pro Bowl? I think that's possible. Could TJ go back to 2 years ago, how he was playing and break out and have a big year? Could Kyler Gordon finally make a Pro Bowl, show that he's a guy that's one of the best in the league? He's getting paid like it. Can he be a Pro Bowler? I think, yeah. So out of all those guys, new defense, new offense, I think that one of those guys pop and the Bears can have 3 Pro Bowlers go along with Jalen Johnson and Joe Toney, who are 2 very consistent players, consistent Pro Bowlers.
It's good vibes, June. It's June. It's good vibes time. I'm taking the over. I'm with you. Jalen Johnson, he's a Pro Bowler. We feel good. I'm also with you. Joe Toney back at left guard. Guy has played at a Pro Bowl caliber his entire career. Feels pretty good. And then here's where the Ben Johnson effect comes in, right? That we talk a lot. It's almost like a meme at this point, talking about the Ben Johnson effect. If the Ben Johnson effect works and the Bears offense just looks like an offense, the Bears offense has been so bad for so long, so ineffective for so long, I should say, that if it is just like a solid NFL offense and Caleb Williams looks like a solid NFL quarterback and DJ Moore, like you said, one of those guys has 1,000 yards and the run game is clicking, the media spotlight is going to be so huge. The narrative stuff is going to be so huge. The buzz is going to be so huge. There are going to be Pro Bowlers to be found. And then one guy we haven't talked about who I think should absolutely be in consideration, multiple-time Pro Bowler. And this is typically how the Bears have gotten Pro Bowlers in the past. Special teams. When we talk about Bears Pro Bowlers, we're usually talking about like Devin Hester. I think Jakeem Grant did it for the Bears. Devin Duvernay was brought in to be return man extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Has been a Pro Bowler a couple times. He was not a Pro Bowler last year, I don't think, but was really good with Baltimore. So Devin Duvernay, absolutely Pro Bowl caliber return man. He could be a Pro Bowl return man again. Within that whole melange we just talked about, I think you can find 3 guys. We're obviously good vibes projecting good times and improvements in Chicago. But that would be, if they got 3, that would be triple last year, right?
Yeah.
Jalen Johnson, the only Pro Bowler last year. Bears could triple up. Why not? It's June 23rd. I say, why not?
Absolutely.
All right, so Clay, before we get out of here, you got anything else?
No, man, I think we hit everything. I think this was a good show. We went a little long here, but glad everybody stuck around. We had some good combo for June 23rd. So a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll be back in a couple days here. Talk some more Bears.
June 23rd, and we talked nearly an hour about Chicago Bears football. They said it couldn't be done. But here we are. We've done it. So as Clay said, if you made it to the nearly 1 hour mark of this episode of the Charter Podcast brought to you by St. Xavier University, thank you so much. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching on YouTube. We will be back with more great content for you later this week. And then Clay is going to have his special birthday episode that he's doing. It's going to be host Clay Harbor. So you got to tune in for that coming soon. And we hope you all stay cool, stay safe, have a wonderful week. We'll be back with more Bears content soon, y'all.